we got a lot of stories to talk about. Aztecs are going to the Mountain West Conference tournament upbeat. Aztecs finished 21-8 regular season, a little bit of streaky 21-8. It's a 21-8 team with a very, very young roster. It's a 21-8 team that hopes to have Magoon Gwath back for Thursday's first-round game when they play Boise State. I don't know that they need him to play against Boise State. I'd much rather see him sit and maybe be ready for the championship game if they get to the championship game, or sit and protect him and get him ready actually for March Madness, because the Aztecs, if they survive this tournament, are going to be at the back end of the top 64. You got to have Gwath if they're going to go forward and play. But they destroyed a Nevada team. Steve Alford just lost all of his players this year, either transferred out or they got hurt, and they were a shell of a team. They got killed. They were down 22 in the first half. It was just monstrously bad. So the Aztecs, they're going to play Thursday, Mountain West Conference. They should win that game against Boise with or without the big guy. Then we'll see what happens in the second game if they get to play in the championship game in Mountain West. But I would handle Magoon Gwath with kid gloves right now in terms of the injury. UCSD, what a phenomenal season, 28-4. Bombs away.
Yeah.
I've never seen a three-point shooting team in college basketball like this three-point shooting team. Now, they have not played a great schedule. They're going to have to play real people once they get through the Big West tournament. By the way, they are the number one seed, which means they sit out the first two rounds and they get to play in the semis and then maybe the championship game on Saturday. UCSD deserves to be in the NCAA tournament. I don't see anybody sidetracking them in the Big West tournament. What a phenomenal year. I guess a sidebar question. I like that coach. I respect that coach. That coach has done a hell of a job in terms of accessing players. Can UCSD keep that coach? That's a big question. Is people going to come knocking at the door wanting to hire Eric Olson away? University of San Diego, what misery. Did you ever have a toothache? You ever have root canal surgery? That's what Torero's basketball was like this year. 6-27. I felt so bad for Steve Lavin because that's a good coach, good man. Tough situation. Lost all of his players in the transfer portal. It was obvious to me with the start of the season and this new landscape in college basketball, USD has not given him the financial support to create true NIL money. Now they say the new athletic director is going to make a move in that direction. He had a lot of young kids. He force-fed everybody. Somehow Steve Lavin has to find a way to get into the transfer portal and find unique individuals who are going to come to USD to get a really good degree and, by the way, play basketball. He's got to be able to keep all the kids he force-fed. And he's got some talent there, but they're all freshmen. Got to keep them and add to them, and USD needs to step back and look in the mirror at themselves. Are you doing enough in today's landscape to support this Division I coach in this Division I program? And the last one is about the West Coast Conference. They held meetings on Friday, the athletic directors and the West Coast Conference, and they have reformulated their revenue sharing plan, and they've come up with a bonus package that the teams that do really well on the West Coast Conference, in other words, get to the tournament, go a couple rounds in, are going to get bonus units in addition to what they normally earn for themselves and for the conference from what they do in NCAA tournament play. And the result they're doing is because they're trying to keep St. Mary's from defecting. St. Mary is right there trying to make a decision. They're standing right on the street corner. Do I stay in the West Coast Conference, or do I accept an offer when the offer comes to be like Gonzaga and go to the new look Pac-12 as a basketball-only member? That's the genesis of why the West Coast Conference did what they did Friday, to vote to allow somebody like St. Mary's, like they did for Gonzaga when the Zags were developing their program, give them bonus units for multiple appearances in the NCAA tournament. So interesting to see what St. Mary's and Randy Bennett does. Do they stay small potatoes, or do they join Gonzaga as a basketball-only member of the Pac-12 conference? So a lot of things churning in college basketball. John Riley, you're talking to me about the Aztecs and the decision. You're talking to me about the Tritons. Your reaction to what's happening in the other hill at USD, or what's not happening, and what does St. Mary's do? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, just real quick on St. Mary's. You know, the head coach, Randy Bennett, is a UC San Diego alumni.
Good guy.
Good guy, man. And so he's had a long run there, you know, and he's done a great job. He had that pipeline to Australia. Steve Lavin needs to develop something like that at USD, and I think there could be hope. But if St. Mary's defects, goes to the Pac-12, then the West Coast Conference is kind of a shell of itself. Hopefully there's enough to keep it going. But
if it's a shell of itself and Steve Lavin is the point man for USD with some additional resources and go and get more players, then maybe USD becomes the flag carrier of the conference.
It could be. I remember Johnny D.
Sure.
Corner threes. He was terrific. There's been some good players there. And I just want to go down this list here. San Diego State, they just decided to play where they're supposed to play, didn't they? They just decided we're going to go and hustle. We're going to play defense. BJ Davis was swarming the point guards coming up. I mean, the whole thing was a fabulous display. They can prove they can win without Magungwa.
But that's, again, substandard teams.
Agreed. So it gives you some confidence going into this tournament in Vegas. I still think the Aztecs, if Guath is back, they can go all the way and win this thing. I think it's definitely possible. So I'm excited right now. The Aztecs are trending up at just the right time.
Hope the big man can play. If they're not sure, I wouldn't play him.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to jeopardize his health, but you got to give it up for Miles Heide. I mean, hitting three-pointer, his first in his collegiate career, 14 points. The dude has got all the big man. George Mikan moves down low. He's made giant progress. It's just so good to see, and even Pharaoh Compton, I mean, was alive in that Nevada game. It was great. I mean, it was fun.
Well, they have the potential to be really, really good. If Guath is there, they could be really good and play Aztec brand of basketball, but we'll just have to wait and see what Thursday brings, what Friday brings, what Saturday brings. They don't know. He is still questionable because he's not practiced. All he's doing is standing and shooting stationary threes. He did run on the weekend on a treadmill for the first time. No setbacks that we know of at this point, but he's got to practice because he's been off a good 2 weeks, so he's not even basketball ready. So we'll see what this week is.
Are we talking about practice?
That's right. In this case, damn right we are.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so you're into college basketball.
Wait, we got to talk about my Tritons.
What's there to talk about?
Don't wrap it up. No.
Bombs away.
No, so this is historic what the Tritons are doing.
You only walk down this road one time.
Yeah, I mean, and first of all, they should have been national champs in D2 a few years ago, got canceled by COVID. First year of D1 eligibility, they won the conference regular season. They're poised to win the Big West tournament. But my question to you, Lee, is do you see any scenario where the Big West would have two teams into March Madness?
It would be a reach. A whole bunch of other things would have to happen. Some named teams that are on the bubble would have to fall off the bubble. But no, I don't see that happening because the Big West is not a power conference per se. But hey, you can't shine a negative light on the Tritons. They're going to win this thing, and they're going to be sitting here 30-4 on Selection Sunday. So the question is, what kind of bracket do they go to? Where are they seated? Are they a 10th seed? Are they 11th? I think they should go and will go. Although that being said, last year there was somebody who had 32 wins got left out. Some lower Division I team, I don't know, somebody from Indiana that had 32 wins and did not get in.
That's nuts. So, what's interesting is back in the 80s when I was a student at UCSD, people thought of San Diego State at the time as like a really good athletic program, and academics were just kind of good, solid. And UCSD, on the other hand, was elite academically, but its sports program was sort of an afterthought, and UCSD used to kind of pride itself on not being a Division I school because we don't need all these scholarship aloof guys. This is an academic university. It's got to be rigorous. Well, what's happened over the past 40 years is San Diego State's academics have come way up. And now San Diego State is an R1 research university. The athletic program has made a big jump. And then UCSD is finally They're trying to be best in all classes, in all dimensions, academics, research, athletics, everything that UCSD does. Now they want to be number one.
They've done a phenomenal job. I never thought their decision to go Big West was the right decision because Big West schools recruit a really different type of kid.
Totally.
Heavy JUCO transfers and all that. But what Eric Olson's done is amazing. Sidebar comment. You got into UCSD. You know what? I look at you and I take that statement and I say, Bronny James, legacy selection. How the hell did you get into UCSD?
Well, I'll tell you what, if I took my high school diploma and grades and SAT score, I couldn't get in now. I mean, it's like really hard to get in. So my degree is like a fine wine. It gets better as it ages.
That's not what some people are saying about you on this podcast, but that's okay. So listen, all things basketball. I'm looking for first timers to jump on board. Hey, Fans Forum chat box is open. Hit a 3-point shot. Want to talk about some of those other topics on the table.